Welcome to Citizen Concerned, where we remind you to beware of the comrades. I'm Katlego and would appreciate it if you subscribed to our YouTube channel, liked and shared this video with other citizens. The building we are going to talk about today is one that we have already spoken about on this channel in previous videos. And as I mentioned last week, most of the jobs that the ministers are supposed to be doing are common sense kind of jobs. Once you know the facts on the ground, it is obvious what action you need to take. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that if we have a building, we should be using that building. It is obvious to everyone, right? Well, not to Bheki Cele or the ministers who were previously in charge of public works. I mean, it is insane.
Dean McPherson is the new Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, tasked with overseeing the management of government's 880,000 buildings. Some of the facilities are in a bad condition, while others have been hijacked by criminals. This week, the minister got a first-hand experience as he embarked on an oversight visit to the Telcom Towers building in Pretoria.
Like I said, I've covered this particular story before, but here's a bit of it if you missed it.
In 2015, the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure was interested in buying the Telcom Towers for an original purchase price of 900 million rand. When the sale concluded in 2016, the department forked out a final price of 695 million rand. The buildings were to be used by the South African Police Service but have remained vacant for close to a decade now.
So in comes the new Minister of Public Works, Minister Dean McPherson. And what does he bring? Common sense.
It is simply unacceptable that for the past 8 years, the building behind us have been barely used and have been left vacant, allowing them to be vandalized and occupied by criminal elements. We cannot spend another 8 years trying to establish how to secure private and public property while they deteriorate into lawlessness. As the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure, we need to start moving faster to ensure that public investments are secured and utilized to avoid the wastage of any public money. We simply cannot be spending hundreds of millions of rands to repair and address vandalism and poor planning and spending by the department.
He's asking the questions that he's supposed to be asking. He wants to know what processes were followed in the procuring of that building. And I say, please do it.
The minister is launching an independent investigation into the purchase of the buildings and how services to get them back in shape were procured. Since 2016, the government has spent more than 200 million rand on renovations and other services to ensure the investment works for the government. Not even the police could protect what is meant to be their building in the North Tower.
I have a feeling that there is loads of dirt on this one.
The terms of reference for the independent investigation to provide me with these answers will take the following. What led to the Department of Public Works and Infrastructure buying the Telcom Tower complex and whether the purchase was necessary at all? The process which was followed for contracts to be appointed and whether the contractors were fit for purpose.
How about you as a taxpayer? Why don't you tell me? Are you willing to buy a house and let it sit for 10 years without being occupied? Does it make sense to you to buy a house or a car that does not benefit you in any way for 10 years? Would you go to live with your brother or sister or your parents when you have a house that you have bought already? If you seek true value for your money, will you not make sure you occupy the house that you bought? People that have more than one house, they make sure to rent those houses out. Either they make sure to lease them out to an individual or a family or something like Airbnb. Since these NC politicians were handling your money and not their money, they have not been very careful about how they spend your money. We pay our taxes, but they do not bother to make sure to spend that money carefully. And that is a sign that you're dealing with the trashiest version of corruption right there.
While some workers have been stationed at the South Tower, which was recently declared unfit for use, the few SAPS workers who were stationed there had to be moved. More money down the drain, according to the minister.
We have had to accommodate them in the CSIR, and we are having to pick up the cost for that, which is I'm not particularly pleased about. So we're spending money to renovate, and we are now spending money to move them after buying this building.
Evil intentions and stupidity or foolishness is everything that you can attribute this to. The ANC has extremely evil people or stupid people or all of the above. The issue of vandalism and decay that we see on these buildings, along with the infrastructural challenges we have in South Africa, is why many people used to believe that everything that Black people take over will fall apart. And I know I will hear someone complaining about how I hate Black people, blah, blah, blah. But if we can for a second focus on facts first, we will acknowledge that we as Black people have destroyed this country. Even now, if it is not for the fact that the EFF and MK party refused to work with the ANC, we would have been stuck dealing with the same issue. Instead of being offended that I mentioned that Black people have destroyed South Africa's infrastructure, maybe next time let us pay close attention to the types of Black people we elect into positions of power and influence, because I know for a fact that competent, honest, intelligent, hard-working Black people exist and can take this country to where we need and want it to go.
There's a lot of problems. Government buildings belonging to the government that DPW is responsible for is falling apart. I'm working in the police sector, and I can tell you everywhere, police stations are falling apart. It's really problematic for us. There are still people that's working here. So despite the fact that the building has been closed by the department as not fit for human occupation, people are still working here. So, but we are very glad that the minister came to ground level and see for himself what we are complaining about for several years now.
Mayor Celia Brink says the department is the biggest landlord with government buildings spread out across the city. He's flagged issues with the state of some of the government buildings.
So you've got instances where the lifts aren't working, where wiring was rewired in a way that makes no sense and creates a health hazard. No proper ventilation, the electrical light systems that don't work. So that was a technical determination by the municipality to withdraw the occupation certificate.
Guys, I will tell you this whether the sun rises from the east or the west. If you are in charge of the taxes and the infrastructure of the country, you actually have to take care of that infrastructure. You actually have to spend resources painting the buildings, fixing the electrical issues, cleaning the place, servicing the plumbing. When necessary, you need to upgrade the electrical, plumbing, fire prevention systems, and even service the elevators. Right now, we're headed into the rainy season. You need to do the final checks on the stormwater drainage system in the CBDs, on the freeways, and in all urban settings. I can tell you for a fact that everything that I've mentioned just now is not in the same standard of upkeep that we found it in when the ANC took over. Although many of the ANC ministers did not love doing their job and making sure that everything in their ministries is as it should be, one thing they did love to do was shopping. From shopping for new buildings to new furniture for their offices, new vehicles while their current vehicles are in great condition. They love spending on themselves. When it is time to change ministerial cars, that gets done right on time. When it comes to spending on buying new buildings, they spend the money immediately. When it comes to spending on blue lights, that happens very fast. They love buying things, but they don't love servicing and maintaining them. And that is a serious pandemic. When they finally decide that it is time to do maintenance, it becomes a big job that requires tendering processes and hundreds of millions or billions to sort out. They don't make sure to simply have competent teams in place, regularly going out to do their work and someone making sure that the work is being done accordingly or up to a proper standard. They don't fire the people who are not doing their work, and even when they say there's a tender to clean, maintain or service, they want to bring in their sisters and brothers to submit tender proposals for contracts that they know very well they have no idea how to run. And if their relatives don't get the tender, they try to sabotage the entire process, don't they? They even demand that the contractors must make sure they pay them in order for them to release the money that the contractors worked for. You want to be paid for a contractor to get paid for his work as if you are doing him favors. Because of people with such mindsets and habits, everything has been falling apart, but there is still hope. Don't give up, Dean McPherson. I hope you succeed, guy. All the best. Keep going and please pursue this. The craziest thing that we can agree on regarding this whole thing is the fact that the department actually owns thousands of buildings in South Africa. And a lot of those buildings are unoccupied. A lot of them require maintenance and refurbishment because the ANC has done to them what the SAPS has done to this one. All that SAPS should have done was ask for a building from the Department of Public Works, and the Department of Public Works would have leased the building to them. But they, like most of the departments that the ANC has been in charge of, prefer changing buildings every 5 to 10 years as if it's a pair of shoes. Some of us still have shoes from 5 years ago, and you're telling me that these people can't even have a building for 5 to 10 years and keep it in order. Guys, we ought to be ashamed of ourselves. Ashamed for the fact that we have elected these people. Ashamed for the fact that we have not been acting out to inform and change our fellow citizens' minds. In order for parties like the ANC, EFF, and MK Party to be removed from our political landscape, we have to take action to inform our people about these parties as well as their partners such as COSATU, NUMSA, SACP, and others. All these kinds of dinosaurs need to go. Now, look at the comments from this guy from the Black Business Council. Listen to this.
The CEO of the Black Business Council's Built Environment Foundation says Tshwane is not the only city facing this crisis and that South Africans must also play their role in safeguarding public infrastructure.
We need to now start taking ownership as the users of the space, and perhaps we'll have a better outcome because government has put efforts. The private sector also has put a lot of emphasis on investment.
Imagine, he wants to tell us, the citizens, to take charge of the buildings that we have funded, all while we paying ministers salaries to do the very job. So according to this man, our responsibility as citizens is to pay for the purchasing of these buildings, pay for salaries of these ministers, and also do the jobs of the ministers. Okay, makes sense. Now, while we do all of that, what exactly are the ministers supposed to do? What? Do you see the type of mindset of the people who support the ANC? We own these buildings already. The maintenance and the upkeep of these buildings should fall on the departments that the buildings have been given to. In this case, South African Police Services. They are the ones who failed to put their facilities management in order, are they not? The responsibility also falls on the Ministry of Public Works. How do you say the government has put efforts? What efforts did they put into making sure this place is being utilized? What efforts? The only effort that the government has put into this is obviously spending hundreds of millions with nothing but rats and vandalism to show for it. Imagine the audacity to tell the citizens that they are the ones who need to take action to fix the mess created here. Where's the common sense in that, guys? Where? I'll keep on saying this to people like Dean McPherson, Gayton McKenzie, Ziviwe Kharube, and others. You guys have work to do here. A lot. Do not let this opportunity go to waste. This GNU has given you guys an opportunity to make progress. This is the best way for you guys to campaign for your parties. This is an opportunity for you guys to go to the most remote areas where poor people are and build bridges and roads, build proper schools and make sure that their schools have sports facilities and sporting activities are back on the map.
My commitment has always been to build South Africa and to turn it into a construction site. And that is why every single cent that we have must go towards that project.
Remember that the majority of South Africans actually still support the ANC, EFF, and MK parties. This is Cyril Ramaphosa's term, and if we are not careful, the worst people within the ANC will take over after him, and those may be loyal to Zuma and the other communists like the SACP and Nahawu. So please do not waste this opportunity.
Tshwane's executive mayor says the dilapidated buildings hinder the city's economic growth and citizens' quality of life. Vacant and dilapidated buildings such as the Telcom Towers attract criminal elements, including illegal landlords and drug dealers.
Common sense is the most vital component in the hands of the people who seek to make this country better. And I am rooting for these guys to make real changes and to let everyone know about the shenanigans of the ANC. This is obviously one of those issues. Investigate, open cases, do what you can to clean up those departments. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you find our content to be to your liking. Please like and share it with others as well. I'm Katlego. This is Citizen Concerned. And until next time, beware of the comrades.